Started a business or you involved in a real estate deal, and yet you're afraid and you're fearful. I have great news. I have bad news. And it's this. The good news is welcome to the process. The bad news is you acting like an amateur. Let me explain. We'll start with the bad ahead of the good. An amateur hates the process, but loves the profit. An expert understands it is by loving the process that we reach the profit. The process is this. With anything that you are called to, especially in real estate, life, and in business, you have to respect and understand the journey, because it is in the journey to which you seek that you become the thing necessary to reach and achieve it. How do we know that? In any great real estate development or in any business project, it is going to take 5 years to figure it out. It is going to take 10 years to become good. It is going to take 20 years to become great. That is the process. And so when we focus on the process, what does that look like? The process is simple. You are effectively doing two things to earn the profit, which is number one, you're solving problems. Number two, you're managing pressure. Let's talk about the process and problem solving. In the hundreds of real estate projects that I've been involved in, you know what they all had in common? Is there was a problem that was available to many and all, that others saw obstacles, whereas I and we saw opportunity. Case in point, the many rehab projects I've been a part of, you know what they all had in common? Is they all sat in nice established neighborhoods, oftentimes in subdivisions that had 200 or more houses. So what that means, understanding the average household has roughly 4 people, that roughly every single day, 1,000 people, young, old, men, women, children, rolled by what they saw as an obstacle, which was this eyesore house. Whereas as an outsider, I rolled in the same subdivision that they're in and out of multiple times a day and saw an opportunity, which is by acquiring that distressed asset, showing it some love, that I would be able to unlock its potential. But guess what? What others considered to be an eyesore problem, I saw as an obvious, overt opportunity. That is the process of which you have to become. All right, let's take it a step further. As a real estate developer, whether it be infill lots or large scale lots, this land, oftentimes, because I typically buy high value infill or highly desirable land development opportunities, the data says that anywhere from 10 to 30,000 people on a day-to-day basis, oftentimes for years and decades, rode by what they saw as an obstacle or an eyesore, whereas upon comps and due diligence, I saw the infill or land development lot, and it was a no-brainer that it was an overt opportunity. You take another deal that I'm doing in a major metropolitan city, which I confirmed today. I'll close out and maintain or gain site control here in the next week or two. This property has been in existence for over 100 years, surrounded by highly dense, massively successful development. But guess what? No one took the time, as my business partner did, to develop a rapport and a relationship, to understand what was her problem, to unlock profit opportunities. What is her obstacle, so that we can create opportunity. And yet the opportunity is sat there for 100 years. Now it is currently, its current use is something else, but based on new comprehensive plans that have been updated in 2023, we can now maximize density, go up 7, 8 floors, most likely with 40 to 50, micro condominiums. In addition, it'll be a mixed use project. What am I getting after? What I'm getting after, it is you being able to solve problems in development or in business that is going to create your unique profit opportunities. But only amateurs hate the process and love the profit. But we're here to change that today. Now let's move on to problem management or pressure management. To whom much is given, much is required. A very famous artist and CEO that we know who's embroiled right now once said it best: more money, more problems. And that is absolutely the truth. But let's talk about where pressure comes from. If you really look at your life and you think about the pressures you have, there are only two things that create pressure: people and deadlines. Oh yeah, they undefeated. And the enemy knows that too. The pressure of what other people think and man-made deadlines are what create the greatest angst, desire, and depression, I should say, or anxiety or turmoil within ourselves. But here's the thing. When you serve the God that I serve, any people problem or deadline problem, there's a solution if I go to the king as his kingdom citizen to say, Lord Father, this is the situation. These are the people problems I'm working with. These are the deadline problems I'm working with. Give me vision, give me wisdom, give me witty inventions, ideas, favor that surpasses understanding for the benefit of all. What? In order to effectively solve this problem, to unlock the purpose that I was called to, which is to be a builder of cities, a builder of people. So what we've learned thus far is that if you afraid, if you anxious, the good news is the process. The bad news is you acting like an amateur. And so what does that mean? That means you would be wise to embrace the reality that it is when we overcome obstacles and we see opportunity that creates the financial blessings and breakthrough to which you seek, king, to which you seek, queen. And what that also means is you're going to have to learn to effectively in that process understand that pressure only comes from people and deadlines. And yet what that means is you pray about those matters, you persist through those matters, you press through those matters, because the profit you seek is earned by solving great problems. That is called creating value. That is called creating a win-win. That is called building a kingdom. That is called building a community. That is called building a legacy. But it takes work. And the fact of it is, as I always say, the data says roughly 2% of people know their purpose. Half live it out, about 1%. And the interesting irony is 1% of all people, meaning men and women who know their purpose and they're working towards it every day, control over 90% of all wealth in the world. Is that by accident? I know not. I think not. But what? To whom much is given, much is required. And what you have to understand, the good book says it best. He will never give you more than you can bear. And he will always give you a way of escape. But what it is going to take is persistence, diligence, determination, failure not an option. There is no plan B. We burn the bridge to force ourselves to cross over. Because a faithful man, a faithful woman of God knows this, is that he'll never bring me into the ocean to leave me for dead. And what you have to understand when you evaluate the good book, I've never met a man or woman in the word. I've never met a man or woman in real life when they accomplished a great vision who honestly, while they had moments of jitter, they knew failure wasn't an option. Why? Because that God wouldn't do that. That is not in alignment as long as you're operating and doing the things to which you were called to do. Because the purpose of life is to do the work he sent you to do. What does he as a king look like dispatching you to a battlefield without resources and without any way to arm yourself, defend yourself? Even if that means we got a pocket knife, then I guess that's all we need, because that's how we going to get the job done. Why? Because it's going to take 5 years to figure it out, 10 years to get good, 20 years to get great. Because what? Failure ain't an option. As always, I'm Shaun J. Ford, real estate developer and author, affectionately known as Uncle Shaun, wanting to remind you that as the developer and the creator of Developer Nation, I want to educate you. I want to equip you for the purpose of being a small or large scale developer. I want to expose you to the opportunities of capital funding from our partners, ranging from family office, high net worth, private equity, hedge fund. We're assuming if your project is viable and feasible, we will partner with you practicing group economics and community in order to help that vision come to pass from cradle to grave so that you too can build generational wealth for your children's children. As always, like, comment, subscribe, follow. And I want to remind you that all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I will see you in the next episode.